Frustration among general practice owners with what they call bloated bureaucracy is behind the move to set up a breakaway nationwide primary health organisation, or PHO. The General Practice Owners Association, Genpro, which has made an application to Health New Zealand, says it would ensure more money for frontline patient care. Its chair, Dr. Angus Chambers, says the new entity would be a standalone organisation, enabling Genpro to continue to advocate for its members without any conflict of interest. And he joins me now. Angus, good to see you.
Hello.
Hello. Any big wins on Lotto? Just thought I'd throw it in there. You know?
I did buy a ticket. I don't usually do one, but, it's tempting, isn't it?
I know. Good. We're both losers. Let's move on. Can you first explain what the primary health organisation is and does, and explain what's wrong with the current system in plain language, please, Doctor?
How long have you got? So look, PHOs are the vehicle which government funding for medical care is passed through to general practice. Their responsibility is meant to be population health, looking after populations, and part of that, of course, is funding general practice care. So that's the most significant part of what they do. What the problem is, to our view, and it's not true of all PHOs, but there's been a growing of the organisations themselves, and some of the funding that we think could be passed through to general practice ends up going into supporting that organisation. Alongside of that is increasing levels of what we call service delivery. So we are believers that most of these services should be delivered at a general practice level, people who know their patients, know their population, and are expert at providing services. And yet PHOs have started to accumulate services and the bureaucracy that goes with that to provide services. And we think that that's actually depleting the amount of money that gets to the front line.
Do most GPs work through PHOs, Angus? Is it for their funding and support? Is it most of them GPs?
Yeah. Most. You don't have to, but if you don't, you get very limited government funding. There are one or two around that we've heard about that run separately from it, but most do.
So am I right in saying there's currently about 30 PHOs made up of practices working together to care for patients enrolled with them? Is that kind of how, does that sound right?
Yeah, not quite practices working together, but certainly 30 PHOs that have, varying from probably 5 or 6 practices to 100 under their umbrella. And
So you're saying, are you saying that you think they're eating up too much funding before it actually gets to the GPs?
Yep, that's part of what we're saying. There's certain what we call funding lines, and one is called capitation, and almost all PHOs pass all of that through to their practices. But then these other ones with grandly named services to improve access and Care Plus and health promotion, and those ones the PHOs don't necessarily pass through to the practices. A lot of that does get through, but the question is, what's the balance between what gets through to practice, what PHO retains? And we're concerned that more of that is retained than is best for practices and the patients that they look after.
So how long has this been building? Have you been looking into this? Is it like a last couple of years, or, what's that last straw, kind of the, breaking the camel's back kind of scenario?
Yeah, well, PHOs have been under a kind of cloud of uncertainty for 2 or 3 years, or even more, since the Health and Disability Review, which was led by Heather Simpson, and she questioned the need for them. They've had various kind of papers going back and forth, and rather grandly called meso-level organisations. And then we heard that there were going to be much less, and then we heard there were going to be more supported, and then basically this year it was announced that Tend, who's a large corporate, was allowed to form their own PHO. Right. And so clearly the playing field had changed a lot. And at that stage, we've got deep concerns about that becoming making a competitive edge to attend because of the funding situation, passing more through to their practices. We had a lot of our members say, this is not right, we want you to do something. So that was kind of like the catalyst, and it became apparent that Health New Zealand was going to allow these changes. So at that stage, we started thinking about it.
And the PHOs, have they been around for a long time? Is this like a decades kind of thing, or when did they kick in?
Yeah, they started in the early 2000s, and they were kind of a staged approach.
So were these made under Labor? Did Labor bring in the PHOs?
Correct.
Okay, interesting.
Before that, we had things called IPAs, Independent Practitioners Associations. They were cooperative groupings where GPs got together to organise and support each other and work things through. But PHOs sort of superseded them, and you could probably talk at length about what led to that. But that was a Labor policy that came in as well, the primary healthcare strategy back a long time ago.
Okay. So, all right. So you've talked about a potential healthcare duopoly, kind of like what the supermarkets have got. So by Genpro being able to do this, is there more red tape now because you're creating another one? Or what will it mean for patients? Because I suppose at the end of the day, this is about being able to fund you correctly and enough so that patients get the care they need, correct?
Well, that's our big aim, is to pass more through to practices so they become more sustainable and can provide better care. And yes, look, we are concerned about the duopoly. This is kind of a fringe approach to that problem. But I did also mention that when TEND was allowed to become a PHO, that would mean that we felt that the practices would get more funding and able to compete more. And then, of course, there are various other government funding streams that have been poured into the corporates. We've talked about the telehealth and the corporate largesse with that. But, in this kind of situation, we're looking to support our practices to make them as sustainable as possible and provide great healthcare.
Great. And I suppose one of the big questions too is always, would we see the cost come down? I know, will this affect capitation? Will we see cheaper fees for the doctors?
Hard to say it would create cheaper fees, but we would like to think by funding the practices better, there would be less upward pressure on fees. So I think there'll need to be a step change in funding to see fees come down. But so I don't think it would certainly reduce the pressure for fees to go up.
Okay. And how quickly will this new PHO be up and running, Angus?
So this is all contingent on Health New Zealand's agreement. We got our application in on the correct time, which was the 1st of October. Our aim is to have it up and running by the 1st of July 2026. Okay.
Well, look, always good to catch up. I appreciate your time. That's Dr. Angus Chambers, Genpro Chair.
Thanks.
Talking about, see you later, about a new PHO.